It's a big, noisy universe of stocks out there. Welcome to Goodbye or Goodbye. Our goal to help cut through that noise to navigate the best moves for your portfolio. And today we're looking at the semiconductor industry. We're all awaiting Nvidia gearing up to report its third quarter results this week. I'm here with Spear Invest founder and CIO Ivana Delevska. And we're not talking about Nvidia, we're talking about other chip stocks today. There is a universe beyond Nvidia, of course. And your buy stock is Marvell Technology. Now, it actually was your buy stock back in March as well when we spoke to you. And at that point, the stock had sort of a nice little run. Then it came down. Now it's going up again. So the stock is up 47% year to date. It's up about 14%, I believe, since you came on with us. So let's go through why you still like this one. First of all, you say it's benefiting from the boom in custom designed GPUs. Is that related to AI, or is it just generally we're seeing that kind of a trend?
So thanks for having me, Julie. This is specifically related to AI, and basically as we get further into the cycle, all the hyperscalers are designing their own chips and competing with Nvidia. So Microsoft will have their own chip, Amazon is really far along the line, and that's who is Marvell working with. Google has their own TPU, so we think that as we get further into the cycle, custom chips will gain a significant part of the pie here.
And you think Marvell will take a lot of that share in that particular market?
The two players are Marvell and Broadcom. I think they're both well positioned to benefit, but Marvell is just a smaller company, so it will be just a bigger piece of their revenue base.
Gotcha. And you say also that they're a leader in networking interconnects. Now, first of all, explain to people what networking interconnects are.
So networking, Julie, just to give people some background, is a pretty big and important market adjacent to the chips side. So basically, this is all kinds of like connections, switches, cabling that goes side by side with the GPUs. And this is actually where we're seeing a lot of the performance improvement coming from. So if you look at the new Blackwell chip, it is two Hopper chips connected together. So the way you're connecting these chips and optimizing the network is really going to be key in getting performance improvement. Marvell specifically is a leader in interconnects. This is a smaller part of the market, but they have a very high market share, and they're entering in some of the other parts of networking as well.
Gotcha. All right, and let's talk about another market that they're in, or other markets that they're entering into within networking here. You've got, again, you're going to have to explain it to us, active electrical cables. So what does that mean?
So active electrical cables are basically versus optical cables. They're able to work with higher speeds and work inside these chips. So they're really a new area that is kind of born as part of AI, that they're part of it as we look further.
So basically all part of the AI chip ecosystem, if you will.
That's right.
We see a big increase there. Okay, so you know we like to talk about what could potentially go wrong, so or risk here. In the case of Marvell, a digestion period maybe in AI investments, and we've seen sort of fits and starts of that from a market approach this year thus far, where we kind of see the AI stocks run up and then pull back a little bit.
That's right. So we're seeing the market react to it, but we haven't really seen it fundamentally. So people are still ordering chips at higher levels than they were last year. The Blackwell numbers are going to come in very strong, we believe, on Wednesday. So we haven't really seen a fundamental slowdown. The question becomes, after Blackwell, when the next generation of chips comes, is there going to be as strong demand, or are we going to go through a period where people kind of learn and tinker with Blackwell and see what they can build on top of it? And this would be a downside case, or would create a prolonged period of time where we are going to see some sort of a stagnation in we're not seeing it yet, we're not seeing any signs of it yet, but this is something that we're closely watching.
And then the stock that you do not like as much is ASML, which is a chip equipment maker. That stock is down about 7.5% year to date. So you would think if the chip industry is growing as it has been, that the chip equipment would be growing, but that hasn't really been the case. Why not? What's going on here?
So that's right, Julie. So we've seen a bifurcation here between the chip sector and the chip equipment sector. For chip equipment, we already went through a pretty massive CapEx cycle. So companies like Micron, TSMC already invested, and all of the new build as a result of the CHIPS Act, all of those have not been built yet, but are in the company's backlog already, right? So in order for us to see acceleration in the numbers for ASML, you would need to see new plant announcements rather than what's been announced to date.
Gotcha. And, China's a big market for this company. But of course, there are some political headwinds there.
That's right. So China represented as much as 49% of revenues at some point earlier this year. With the restrictions, that's now down to close to the 30s. So we believe that basically that's going to continue to decline as we face further restrictions.
Right, and there already are some restrictions that are in place. But what do you think are sort of the further risks that could happen as a result of the election and the policies that might get put in place?
Well, I think the environment is going to get a lot more restrictive. Right now, the company is still able to export to China. They just need to get export licenses, and they're restricted in the high end of the chip side. So if restrictions get even stricter, we're going to see a potential of local Chinese players entering the market, which would be a long-term concern for their dominant position. So this is not something, it's not a bad company, but it's something where you want to be watching it through the down cycle and finding a better entry point than where it is today.
Well, and we did see some people coming into the stock recently because they reaffirmed their sort of longer-term 2030 forecast. So I guess that brings me to what could go right for them as you look over the longer term.
So what we're looking in terms of what can go right is some of these markets that are oversupplied, like memory. We're trying to see when those come to balance. As these companies are converting a lot of their traditional memory supply to AI, at some point in the next 2 to 3 years, they're going to need more capacity. So we're looking for data points of when that actually happens. For now, we're not seeing it just yet. Same thing on the logic side. TSMC had invested quite a bit of money in adding capacity. Their capacity will grow next year, but the extent to how much it will grow, that's a big question mark. And Intel as well, we know that they're struggling, right? So when they turn around and they start investing, that would be another catalyst for them.
Ivana, let me ask you, because not just chip equipment, but chips generally tend to be very cyclical. How do you know when in the cycle to buy? In other words, if you're anticipating, for example, that the chip equipment market for ASML is going to turn up in 6 months, in 12 months, when do you want to be buying?
So you want to be buying basically when you start seeing book to bill start exceeding 1. So if the company is booking more business than they're actually billing, that's a pretty big positive sign. ASML specifically booked something like $2.6 billion in the quarter when the market was expecting 5. So that's a pretty big red flag. So you're looking for those bookings numbers to accelerate and book to bill to start exceeding or approaching 1.
Gotcha. Really helpful stuff. Ivana, thank you so much. Good to see you. And thank you so much for watching Goodbye or Goodbye. We'll bring you new episodes at 3:30 p.m. Eastern.